All right, how's everybody doing? Everybody good? Yep. Hey, would you guys welcome everybody watching online and the guys at the Sterling Correctional Facility? Grateful for you guys. Yep. My friend Doug is watching today. Doug, we're working with Doug. You're going to get to know Doug a little bit. But Doug, welcome. We're grateful to have you watching today. Doug's going to help us as we go into the Sterling Correctional Facility. He got out about 75 days ago, and he's going back in as a chaplain, and we're working with him, and he's a good man. Good man. I'm excited to work with him. But Doug, grateful for you. All right. Hey, and by the way, speaking of Sterling, we are looking for about 6 J-teamers who'd be willing to go with us. We're going to go serve the staff at the Sterling Correctional Facility on 2 occasions. There's 2 huge shifts. We've worked out logistics with the warden, and we're going to feed the staff a free meal on Monday, August 29th from 5 to 7 p.m., and then Friday, the 2nd of September from 5 to 7 p.m. So if you're willing to help us, just let one of my staff know, and we'll get in touch with you. We'll drive over, we'll serve them dinner, hang out with the staff, get to know them a little bit, and then drive back. It's just a 2-hour window we're going to feed them. Also, if by some chance you are a green badge, that's somebody who can go into the facilities. We need as many green badge people as possible. We're planning a cookout for the guys on the yard. But in order to be there, you have to have a green badge. So if you have a green badge, you know someone who does, who wants to help us, please let us know. If you don't know what a green badge is, yeah, you just gotta look it up. All right. But eventually I'll need about a dozen of y'all to have green badges so you can go with us into the facility and serve the people there, okay? All right. Ready to go? Let's do this, okay? All right, it's one of the first words it's often our first word, and that word is no, all right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Often it is good to say no. When your 1-year-old is about to put something in the wall outlet, you say. When a stranger offers you candy, you say. Young people, when someone offers you the answers to the test, which is cheating, you're going to say. All right, okay. When someone offers you drugs, you just say. When you start to think to yourself, hey, it's about time I grow my mullet out again, you say. When somebody says, my buddy can do that, he does tattoos in his basement, you say. No. All right. When someone asks you if you want one of the litter of their kittens, you say. When your child says, I found this on the ground, can I eat it, you say. Oh, come on, you guys. Oh, my work's cut out for me. There are times when saying yes can change everything. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Did you study for that exam? Did you pass your driver's test? Be careful how you answer this one. When the right person asks you, will you marry me, you say yes. When someone says, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you say. When God calls you to do anything, you say, yeah. By pursuing the bigger yes, we can see God do incredible things in and through us. But pursuing the bigger yes for God can be scary. In the book that we're going through, Soul Strength, Alan Algrim, who wrote the book. By the way, Alan, next week, we are taking our youngest to college, so Alan Algrim will be here preaching again. He's the guy who wrote the book, and he's very excited. He said this is his favorite chapter to preach on, the one next week. But in his book, Alan says, whatever you delay going to heaven in order to accomplish, that's the ultimate bigger yes. Is there anything in your life that you're so passionate about, you love so much, you delay going to heaven in order to do that? If so, that's your bigger yes. What's the one thing you want to say yes to before going to heaven, but it scares you? I want to point out, we were not designed by God to play it safe. It's evident in how we make our entrance to this world. Our birth isn't safe. It's a violent, messy process during which we are pushed out of the safety of the womb into a bright, cold, and dangerous world to be completely dependent on others for our survival. Eventually, we find our way to the safety of the crib, but that's not the end because we weren't born to lie in a crib for the rest of our lives either. At the proper time, we are pulled from the safety of the crib and urged to get up and walk. Walking isn't safe. At the beginning, learning to walk is a process during which we fall again and again and again, risking bruises. Now, we weren't designed to crawl around on the safety of the ground for the rest of our lives, so our loving parents, wanting more for us, eagerly urge us to take those first important steps. And then before we know it, we are encouraged to risk even more when we're put on a bicycle, on hot black asphalt, pushed to breakneck speed, and then released with the encouragement, keep pedaling. It's in my experience that risk is life, and life is risk. And I think, and you may disagree with me, but I think we are way too concerned about safety these days. We act like we're all so frail. And everybody gets so easily offended. I mean, people are offended just now by me saying that. I think we've allowed cancel culture to thrive, so we're all tiptoeing around worried about offending people. I think that's a horrible idea. I think it's a horrible idea, and I think it's going to make things much more difficult in the future. My neighborhood friends never worried about offending me. They called me the most offensive names possible, and I called them back because we loved each other. We would play. We'd get hurt. Like I said, we'd call each other names. We'd fight, big fights. We'd make up, and we survived, and we got stronger. We are not as weak and frail as we think we are. I remember riding my bike with no hands for hours at a time. Anybody else here do that? Anybody else here want to do that again? Yeah, once you get insurance, you realize, oh, wow, that's kind of risky. I drank water out of the hose. Yes, my people. And in Florida, a thing to do at our house was we jump off the roof into the pool. It's a rite of passage. My kids have done it. Like, it's a thing. There's videos of my kids all jumping off my mom's roof. It's what you do in Florida. You jump off the roof into the pool. We also used to lay on the roof back in the day. This is not good. We used to lay on the roof and put baby oil on ourselves and sun it in our hair. And the skin doctor's like, because I've had 8 skin cancers. He's like, did you ever lay out? I was like, I grew up in Florida. I would lather myself in oil and lay on the roof. Yes, I did. But here's the deal. Listen. I'm so glad my parents didn't isolate me. I'm so glad my parents didn't wrap me in bubble wrap. I'm glad my mom and dad let me jump off the ramp on my dirt bike on the asphalt road in front of my house. My mom was watching one time. My dad told me this story. My mom was watching one time, and she's like, do we really want to let them do this? And he said, absolutely yes. He said, the boys need to do this. I learned about pain. I learned about facing my fears. I learned how to wipe the gravel off my legs and get back on the bike. Didn't play it safe. I didn't play it safe. Like you, I played. Now, it's not about being reckless. It's not about putting other people in danger at all. But here's the deal. I'm talking to you as a church today, all right? I'm talking to humans. I'm talking to Christians, all right? And here's the thing. We need to be fearless. We weren't designed to say no. We were designed to say yes. A safe life, in my opinion, and this is where I may offend you, just right. It's AARON@journeychristian.org. I love to hear your complaints, all right? A safe life is not just boring. I think it's ungodly. Okay, a safe life, a life where you're as a Christian, you're trying to play it safe. God, I don't want any challenges. Don't hurt me. Don't think anything bad happened to me. That's ungodly. Like, get out of the boat. Face the giant. Walk around the walls of Jericho. TSA, yes, thank you, whoever that was. Anyway, so, sorry, really good joke. I just felt it a really good joke. That would have offended most of you. All right. God, listen, safety may be the TSA's major concern, but our safety is not God's primary concern. He wants us to be faithful. He wants us to say yes to something that scares us to death that he can work through and in to change the world. Here's the thing. God is not safe. God is not safe. So we are mistaken when we believe that dwelling in the center of God's will for our lives will be without risk. In fact, here's what I've seen. In fact, based on what we observe in the lives of our faithful predecessors, the closer we draw to God, the more at risk we may find ourselves. God drove Adam and Eve out of the garden into an unsafe world. God commanded Abraham to leave the safety of Haran. God expected Isaac to lie on the altar. God's plan for Joseph sent him to a pit and then to prison. God sent Moses to risk his life by confronting Pharaoh. God allowed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be thrown into a fiery furnace. Daniel was thrown into a lion's den. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus had to escape for their lives to Egypt. John the Baptist was beheaded. Jesus was executed on the same kind of cross that you and I are supposed to take up daily. Most of the disciples were martyred for their faith. I believe that safety is for wimps and pagans. Risk is faith. Faith is risk. Now, if you disagree with me, let me give you one more name. Esther. Would you say it with me? She deserves to have her name said. She was amazing. She found a bigger yes. Esther found a bigger yes. It gripped her. It gripped her, and it led her to not play it safe. Let me just go through Esther's story from 30,000 feet to give you an overview, okay? Esther is the Persian name of the Jewish queen who is the leading character of the book, Esther. Esther's Hebrew name is Hadassah. What a great name. Now, here's some history for you. Babylon fell to the armies of Cyrus in the year 539 BC. Just the year before that, the people of God had been restored to their land under the leadership of Zerubbabel. Several thousand Jews returned to Canaan when they were restored to their land. But many thousands remained in settlements throughout the Persian Empire because it was just not practical for them to go back. Now, following the reconstruction of the temple, about 15 years later, in the year 515 BC, a serious threat to exterminate the Jews in the Persian Empire arose. And the book of Esther tells us how God worked through Esther to save those Jews. Okay? Queen Vashti. I'm going to give you some characters real quick, okay? You guys good? You need to know this. I'm going through an entire book in 12 minutes and 53 seconds. Okay. There's a king, Xerxes. He had a wife, Vashti, all right? Now, at the time we're reading this book of Esther, Xerxes ruled over 127 provinces, stretching from India to the Upper Nile region. He was wealthy. He enjoyed showing off his possessions. During the third year of his reign, he invited all his nobles, all his officials to a feast for 180 days where he showed off his wealth. He ordered his wife, Vashti, to walk before all the people in her crown so her royal beauty could be displayed before everybody. He wanted to put a crown on her in order to display her beauty to the crowd. She refused because she had something called dignity. She refused. Xerxes got upset, and he consulted his experts in the law, and he banned Vashti from his presence, and he removed her from office. All right? Xerxes missed her, and he began to search for a young woman to replace her. Mordecai, a Jewish exile from Jerusalem, was raising his cousin Hadassah. She didn't have a mother or father. Hadassah, as you guys know, is Esther. She was beautiful. Esther was beautiful in every way. Now, Mordecai had taken her as his daughter. He was raising her. Esther was eventually brought to the king and put in his harem for preparation. Now, Mordecai had forbidden Esther from revealing her nationality, that she was a Jew, and her family background. Mordecai checked on her every day, make sure she was okay. Now, she was taken to King Xerxes. She was favored, and she was chosen to be his wife. Now, Mordecai, in the process of this story, finds out that some guys on Xerxes' team want to kill him. So he tells Esther, hey, Esther, tell your new husband, the king, that there's some guys in his team that want to kill him, all right? She does that, saves his life, all right? There's a bad guy. His name is Haman, all right? Haman, can you say boo? 1, 2, 3. Haman was not a good person. Haman hated Mordecai. He hated Jewish people. He hated Mordecai because Mordecai refused to kneel down and bow down in front of him when he passed by. So Haman wanted to kill Mordecai. But he decided it would be more effective to not just kill Mordecai. Haman got it in his mind, I want to kill all the Jews. So he set his plan in order to try to kill all the Jews. So he convinced Xerxes, the king, Esther's husband, to kill everybody who disobeyed the king's laws. And then he had this command that everybody should bow down to the king. Well, everybody bowed except Mordecai. Mordecai refused to bow. Now this made Haman furious, and so he executes his plan to hang Mordecai and eventually kill all the Jews. Now Mordecai hears about all this, and he starts to mourn this decision by Haman and Xerxes to kill all the Jewish people. Esther, and here's how his interaction goes with Esther, okay? I'm in Esther chapter 4. I'm going to read a section here. You guys ready? Great, here we go. Esther 4, starting with verse 5. Then Esther called for Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, who had been appointed to attend her, and ordered him to go to Mordecai to learn what this was and why it was. Hathach went out to Mordecai in the open square of the city in front of the king's gate, and Mordecai told him all that had happened to him, and the exact sum of money that Haman had promised to pay into the king's treasuries for the destruction of the Jews. Mordecai also gave him a copy of the written decree issued in Susa for their destruction, that he might show it to Esther and explain it to her, and command her to go to the king and beg his favor and plead with him on behalf of her people. And Hathach went, and he told Esther what Mordecai had said. Then Esther spoke to Hathach and commanded him to go to Mordecai and say this: all the king's servants and all the people of the king's provinces know that if any man or woman goes to the king inside the inner court without being called, there is one law: you're put to death, except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter, so that he may live. But as for me, I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days. And they told Mordecai what Esther had said. Then Mordecai told them to reply to Esther. Look at this. This is so powerful. Look at what Mordecai says to Esther. Do not think yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise from the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And he said, I love this. And who knows whether you, Esther, have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, go gather all the Jews to be found in Susa and hold a fast on my behalf, and do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my young women will also fast as you do. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Mordecai then went away and did everything as Esther had ordered him. Esther's afraid. No one can go to the king's presence without being killed, unless the golden scepters lean their way. Mordecai gives this challenge to Esther. You want to say yes? You want to say yes, Esther? If you don't say yes, someone else will say yes, maybe, because there's someone else. He said that. He said, if you don't say yes, God's going to raise up someone else to say yes. But this is your opportunity. This is your time, Esther, to say yes. Esther asked for prayer. She asked for fasting, and she steps out in faith. She said yes. Would you say that with me? 1, 2, 3. She said yes. What is your bigger yes? What are you saying yes to? I thought about some things I'm saying yes to: work, binging shows, exercising, pleasure. Are you saying yes to those things? Are you saying yes to living with no personal boundaries? A question that we should ask ourselves is, what we're saying yes to making our lives better? Is what you're saying yes to making your life better? Here's another question that I wrestle with. Is what you're saying yes to making other people's lives better? Too many of the things that I'm saying yes to are all about me. They're for and all about me. We were not designed to just live, think, and please ourselves. I want to challenge all of us today. It is important that we say yes to God, and it is important that we say yes to things that make other people's lives better. Esther is saying yes for others, for the lives of her people, the Jews. I love what Mordecai says there. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Now, we know from hindsight that Mordecai was right. This was Esther's time. This is our time. This is our time. We're alive right now. We are alert right now. And we are aware right now. It flies by, doesn't it? It flies by. I cannot believe that I'm starting my 15th year here. I feel like I just started. It just flies by. This is our time right now. No excuses, no waiting. What are we saying yes to? I do believe that we are all being called to a bigger yes right now. And I believe as a church, we are being called to a bigger yes. I cannot explain to you what is happening at the Sterling Correctional Facility. We've been trying to get a prison ministry going since 2019, and now it won't stop. Like, it's just exploded. And we're going to buy some guitars for the guys. We have worship leaders in there who need guitars, so if you want to help with that, you can. The guitars are like $369. We're going to pay for it, or maybe God's going to provide for you. But we need new guitars, 2 new guitars, a system that's, because we're going to broadcast. There's a channel in there. We're going to live stream into this channel, because right now we're sending in DVDs, but we're going to live stream. I preached a sermon on Tuesday directly to them, and it's playing on their 24-hour network right now. Again and again and again. That's going to get really old, by the way, hearing me again and again and again. So we got to get in there with a live stream. Like I said, we're going to do a cookout on the yard. I talked to the guys last week in there. Our friends, you're going to meet them. You're going to meet John soon. He's going to get. He got permission from the warden to record a video. John, Mo, and Ray are our three warriors in there, and then Doug Paget. You're going to meet Doug too. Doug is the guy who got out about 75 days ago, and he's a warrior for Jesus. And he got out after he was supposed to be in there for life. He had no parole. And they showed up in his cell one day and said, "Hey, your parole hearing is da-da-da-da." He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm not up for parole." And he was so regarded in the system. He had been a chaplain for over 25 years in the system. And he was so regarded, they would bring him in to negotiate conflict in the prison. And he was so regarded that the warden went to his parole hearing and said, "This is a really good man, and I will vouch for his character." And he got out. And he's working with us right now. God's doing big stuff, right? I believe as a church, we're being called to a bigger yes. I believe we're being called to reach our community in new and fresh ways. And I believe that we're being called to serve Christians around the world even more dynamically. So somebody from Journey, last week after we announced that we got the college paid for, they said, "Hey, reach back out to them about a well." So now we're going to dig a well. They're going to put a freshwater well right there by the college that'll just serve the entire community. So you guys won't stop. We're not going to stop. We're going to serve. We're going to say yes, all right? Now, I believe some of you, listen very carefully. I believe some of you, like Esther, are being called to say yes to something. Some of you need to say yes to Jesus right now. What is your problem? Like, why have you not given your life to Christ? What does he have to do? Die for you? Done that. Like, what does he have to do? Like, you may be saying, "Well, I'm not this, or I'm not that, or I'll have to stop this, I'll have to stop that." I don't know. Stop. You're sitting here in a church building. You're watching a church online. What else do you want? Like, seriously, Jesus is coming back. He's going to say, "Everybody out of the pool," and it's going to be it, all right? So, like, give your life to Christ today. Why not? Some of you need to say yes to Jesus. I don't understand. Why not? Why would you not? What are you scared of? Come on, take a step of faith. It's awesome. No, it is awesome, but you also experience a lot of persecution, so get used to that. There you go. I thought I should read you the small print. The small print is that when I pat you on the back, I'm putting a target on your back. So when you get baptized, I pat you on the back. It's like a red target, and Satan's like, "I got you," all right? But it's awesome. Some of you need to say yes to serving and leading a J group. You need to come to the meeting or after this service and sign up to lead a J group. Some of you need to join our J team and serve with us. Listen, some of you need to give. Maybe you're not giving. I will tell you, I love this church. I love our leadership. We have an incredible team of people who are very, very amazing and competent and great stewards, all right? So if you look at the app, on the app that we have, you can see our giving status every week. And right now, so we set a budget very courageously, all right? And right now, we are $145,000 behind that budget. But here's the deal. We got a great team, and so we're not spending money we don't have. We just budgeted like, hey, this is how much money we feel like God wants us to spend. Now, we don't have that money, so we're not spending this, right? We're not spending that. You get that, right? We're paying our bills. We have our assets in place. We have money in the bank. We're doing our thing, right? But where we want it to be, we're not there, all right? And so I need some of y'all to give more. Like, I would like to hire Doug to be our campus pastor in the prison, but we can't spend that money right now. Unless one of you wants to pay for it, you can do that. It's awesome. Just sponsor him for a year, and we'll get going, all right? But right now, I would love to go to Warsack and say, "Hey, we need to hire Doug to be our campus pastor at Sterling. He's in there already. No one else can get in because of COVID. They've lost 286 staff, so they're not letting anybody in who requires their staff to turn a key. So no one's going in except Doug, our guy. So he just got out of prison, and so I want to hire him, okay? But we can't because we don't have that money. We're $145,000 behind, okay? I need some of you to stop consuming and start contributing. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to ask you to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. There's no call without a cost. There's no gain without a pain. And there's no prize without a price. Going to Xerxes for Esther was a death sentence. Esther was literally walking to her execution, but she was willing to give her life for a bigger yes. 4:16, right here, come on. Go, gather all the Jews. This is what, gather all the Jews to be found in Susa and hold a feast on my behalf. She went. I, my young woman, will fast also as you do. Then I'll go to the king, though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. What would you give your life for? What would you give your life for? I thought about that as I was writing this message. I'd give my life for my family. I would give my life for this church. I would. We're a mess, you're a mess. But I would die for you. I would die for you individually. I would give my life for the guys in Sterling, especially Doug and John and Ray and Monir. I would give my life for the people of Eldoret, Kenya, for Francis, for Simon, for Josephat. Is there anything for which you give your life? Is there anybody for whom you give your life? Now, it's going to be hard to say yes, but here's what I want to end with. It's important that we don't just say yes. It's important that we stay yes. That we stay yes. It's easier to say yes than it is to stay yes. Often pursuing our bigger yes takes us through bigger challenges and into our biggest fear. I try to be self-reflective because we're doing soul care, right? Here are some of my biggest fears. Frogs. I hate frogs. Running out of coffee creamer. I'm afraid of loving my cat too much. In all seriousness, I'm afraid of something happening to my wife and kids. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of failing in a huge and public way. I'm afraid of living a life of no consequence. Did you guys know that I'm afraid of speaking in public? I have a touch of social anxiety, and so, like, what preaching in public does, like what speaking in public does, I have to go to the bathroom like 85 times before I preach. So I always leave right before I preach because I have gone to the bathroom all morning, but my body just freaks out and I get anxiety and I got to go to the bathroom again. It's fine. I'm doing it. It's okay. I'm here. I'm not going to the bathroom right now. So that's something. That is something right there. I'm not a hero. I'm just doing what God called me to do, right? Esther said yes, but she acted on it then, and that was the hard part. Look at some of the things that she had to face to say yes. She risked her life bravely. On the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace in front of the king's quarters, while the king was sitting on his royal throne inside the throne room opposite the entrance to the palace. She bravely went to his presence. And then she had a plan. I love this. She worked her plan patiently. The king offered immediately. He lowered his scepter towards her, and he offered her immediately, I'll give you whatever you want. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you, including up to half the kingdom. But Esther was so smart. Esther played it so well. There was a plan, and she operated the plan. And the king said to her, what is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? It shall be given to you, even half my kingdom. I would have shouted out right there, free my people. I need everybody gone, every free right now. Can you do it right now? Can you free all my people and not kill them? That's what I would have done. And she's so cool. She's like, hey, can we have a feast tomorrow? I want to do a feast tomorrow. And that's what she did. Let me say this. If you've said yes to something God has called you to do, it's easier to stay yes because you trust that if he's called you to do it, he'll bring you through it. This is really important. I want to say it one more time. If you have said yes to something go back for a second. If you have said yes to something God has called you to do, it's easier to stay yes because you trust that if he's called you to do it, he's going to bring you through it. So here's what Esther did. Esther said, if it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come today to a feast that I have prepared for the king. So Esther, the king, and Haman feasted. Then Esther does another thing. She invites him back the next day. And Haman left the first party excited. He thought he was in with the king. He was ready to go. He's like, I'm in. I got favor of the king and Esther. Here's what we read. And Haman recounted to them the splendor of his riches, the king's riches, the number of his sons, all the promotions with which the king had honored him. And now he advanced him above the officials and the servants of the king. After this first party with Esther and the king, Haman thought he was set. He's like, I'm in, like Flynn. Like, this is good to go. All right? And then Haman said, even Queen Esther let no one but me come with the king to the feast she prepared. And tomorrow also I'm invited by her together with the king. Yet all this is worth nothing to me so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Then his wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, let a gallows 50 cubits high be made, and in the morning tell the king to have Mordecai hanged upon it. Then go joyfully with the king to the feast. This idea pleased Haman, and he had the gallows made. So after this party, the king couldn't sleep. He was bored, so he asked for his history books. So he had somebody bring his history books about his reign, and he reads in there that some guy saved his life. And he remembers Mordecai saved his life. He stopped those two guys from this plot to kill him. So he decides to honor him, all right? He calls out to the court, hey, come in here. He doesn't know who's out there. Come in here. Guess who's out there? Haman, all right? Haman's on his way to tell the king, I want you to kill Mordecai. I've already built the gallows, right? But the king is like, I gotta honor Mordecai. Haman doesn't know that. So the king asks Haman, how do you honor a man worthy of honor? And Haman thinks he's talking about him. And Haman says, well, you put robes on him, you put him on your horse, you parade him through the streets of the town. And the king says, great idea. Go do that for Mordecai. Plot twist. So they have the feast the next day, all right? Esther, we read this. Come on. If I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be granted from me for my wish and my people for my request. So she had a plan. So the first feast wasn't the time to execute the plan. She wanted to just execute the plan the way God wanted her to do it, all right? Then she lays out for her people. For we've been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be killed by Haman, by his plot, and to be annihilated. If we had been sold merely as slaves, men and women, I would have been silent, for our affliction is not to be compared with the loss to the king. Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther, who is he and where is he who has dared to do this? And Esther said, a foe and enemy, this wicked Haman. Then Haman was terrified before the king and the queen. And then Haman is hung on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Side note, be careful that you don't hang on the gallows you prepared for your enemies. We are not good at revenge. It's best to let God handle revenge. She stayed with her yes patiently, but Esther stayed with her yes tenaciously. Her people were not safe yet. It was not over yet. And Esther goes to the king again, all right, to follow through. She wants him to follow through on his plan to save her people, the Jews. And then he did. He said yes. He said yes finally, and they were freed. They were liberated. Esther 8, we read this. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor because they weren't going to die anymore, because Esther did her thing. And in every province and in every city, wherever the king's command and his edict reached, there was gladness and joy among the Jews. A feast and a holiday. Oh, look at this. This is hilarious. There's humor in the Bible. And many from the peoples of the country declared themselves Jews, for fear of the Jews had followed on them. I'm a Jew. I'm Jewish. Woohoo! Yes. When we stay with our yes, there's a reason to party. And when we stay with our yes, even when things get bad, other people will be more apt to join our tribe. Everybody wanted to be a Jew. If we say yes to something big for God and stay with it, other people want to join us. If we as a church say yes to God and we stick with it, it's going to be contagious. It's like, I want to be a part of that group. Like, they don't believe anything's impossible. Like, they believe lives can actually change and marriages can be restored and sicknesses can be healed. Like, I want to be a part of those people. I'm Jewish. I want to be part of that church. God is doing great things in and through Journey, and I'm so excited about the future. I have a huge yes in my spirit. My friend Mark Tyre, church I used to work at in Florida, he and I, at about 3 o'clock every day, would sing gospel music together, and we turn on Kurt Franklin's Stomp. Oh, it's a good song. I'm not going to sing it, but anyway, I want to, but I'm not going to. But we turn on, one of us, at about 3 o'clock, one of us would turn on, I don't know why, this is why I'm not at that church anymore. But at 3 o'clock, one of us would turn on our radio, our music really, really loud, and it was always Kirk Franklin's Stomp, and we would meet out in the hallway and have a dance party. And Mark was like Southern Baptist, so his hair was perfect. He had perfect hair, and he always wore a tie and a really crisp shirt. He ironed his jeans. Yes, and this is me. This is what I've been forever. So we were like opposite sides of the spectrum, But in that hallway, we were brothers in Christ, and we were good dancers, really good dancers. He in his Baptist way, and me in my non-denominational way. But we would dance, all right? We would dance. And in the middle of the dance, during Kirk Franklin's stomp, Mark Tyre would always yell, "Aaron!" I say, "Yes." He's like, "Brother Aaron!" It's like, "Yes." "Do you have a yes in your spirit?" And I say, "Yes, Brother Mark, I have a yes in my spirit." And then we would keep dancing. Do you have a yes in your spirit? Do you? I believe that we have been called to such a time as this. And I want to challenge you to pursue a bigger yes today. Esther wasn't a thrill seeker. She wasn't looking for this. She was content to live her life. But she decided she did not want to live with a no in her spirit. So when given the opportunity, she didn't play it safe. She pursued a bigger yes, and she stayed with it. You were not born to play it safe. Now, I don't know you. I don't know you, every one of you. But I do know this, that you may be in a scary situation, a situation you didn't ask to be in, but you are in nonetheless. You may feel like God is calling you to serve more, to do more, to love more, to give more. God may be calling you right now to pursue a bigger yes. Who knows that you have not been placed in this situation for such a time as this? I am calling you as your pastor to pursue a bigger yes today. I'm calling you to ask God what he wants you to do and then do it. I'm calling you to do something for someone else today. I'm calling us to be someone else's hero today. And if you are done saying yes to fear and you're ready to say yes to God today, I want to encourage you right now, just where you are, I want to encourage you to stand. Even if you're at home, I want to encourage you to stand. Guys at Sterling, I want to encourage you to stand there in your residence. Okay? Stand now. You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to. I just didn't expect everybody to sit down. Maybe I should take that truck driving job. Here's the thing. If you feel like God is calling you to do something, all right? If you feel like he's calling you to do something, I want you right now to think about what that might be, okay? Close your eyes, whatever you got to do. God, what is it you're calling us to say yes to? By the way, stop. Some of you right now are putting a filter in, and if it's too big, it's not getting in. It's like, oh, no, I can't do that because I have to move. Oh, I can't do that because I love my car. Or I can't do that because I love the United States. Whatever. Like, right now, don't put that filter in. Don't put that filter in. God, what is it you want us to say yes to? What is it you want to say yes to? And God, we will say yes. We stand here convicted that we may be here for such a time as this. So God, what is it you want us to do? We'll do it. Yes, we say yes. If you're saying yes to something God's calling you to do, would you say it with me? 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. 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 God, thank you so much for saying yes to our salvation. Thank you so much for sending Jesus Christ, your Son, to save our soul. God, may we use this time well. God, we say yes. We say yes. Individually, as a church, we'll do it. 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 We've done it in the past. You've done it in the past. God, we'll do it. We trust you. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. We're going to go now to a time of communion and prayer.